morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. How is everyone doing? My name is Amber Dormanesh, and I'm the operations manager here at Saddleback Educational. I'm here with Liz Mangus, our
Hello.
literacy specialist. Good morning, Liz. How are you
Good
doing?
morning. I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm once again here from our empty office in Southern California, so we can run this webinar this morning.
I'm here in the Austin, Texas area. It's very quiet. I do see some people outside my window here, walking their dogs and that sort of thing, but it's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet, that's for sure.
Well, it's definitely not quiet on this webinar this morning. We already have about 300 people live with us.
What? Wow. Well, hey,
And we really
everybody.
haven't even started.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I expect that to go up exponentially in the next 2 minutes.
Well, since we have 2 minutes while people are logging on, I just want to say, I'm really excited that you guys are taking time out of your day to join us and learn about these really cool resources for English learners. I think you're going to leave us today with some really good tools to work with your students. So I hope you're excited.
Absolutely. I'm going to say good morning to a few people. Good morning, Alicia. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Blanca. Good morning, Blanca. Who else do we have? There's so many people. Claudia, thank you so much for joining us. Who else? We've got Julia. Julia, thank you for joining us. Oh, we've got Kay from Virginia Beach. Thank you so much for joining us. Tyra. Good morning. And where are you at, Tyra? Houston, Texas. Good
All
morning.
right,
Thank you so much for
Houston.
joining us. Good morning, Diane. Good morning, Martha. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. Oh, we've got Simone from Louisville, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us, Simone. Oh, I love these good mornings.
Hey, Louisville. Hey, everybody.
Nasreen from Indianapolis. Oh my
All right, we got
goodness.
Indiana in the house.
Okay. Well, it looks like it's 9 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. So
All
5
right.
easy-to-use resources for teaching ELs during school closures. And again, my name is Amber Dormanesh. I'm the operations manager here at Saddleback Educational, here with Liz Mangus, our literacy specialist. And Liz, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
It would be my pleasure, Amber. This webinar was so fun to put together, and I'm so excited to share it with you. As Amber said, I'm the literacy specialist here at Saddleback, and I'm located in Central Texas, and I work mostly with districts in Texas, but the information that we have to share with you today is really going to be applicable across the board for your English learners. So today's webinar is going to be brief. It's going to be pretty casual, like you're going to see me toggling back and forth between our slides and some different websites and some different documents. We even have a guest speaker who will be coming on in a few minutes to talk to you about one of our resources. And I just think there's a lot of great information to share with you today. So a little bit of context about why we decided to do this topic, and I think this screen says it all. We know that you all are out there very, very busy with planning your remote instruction, and the transition has been difficult. And it's very hard to flip a switch and go from working in a classroom to trying to do something effective from a distance. And as we've been trying to make this transition, a lot of different networking and Facebook groups have popped up where teachers are sharing ideas, creating resources, trying to problem solve together. So that has been really a wonderful thing to see, but we also know that a lot of you are very busy trying to plan how you're going to reach your students, and you don't necessarily have a lot of time to hang out and search through these Facebook groups and these other groups to kind of get some ideas. So our thought was, why not go through and see what you all are talking about and creating and pick out 5 resources that we think are pretty much ready to go and great for English learners, and then share them for you on a webinar so you have some quick access to some really cool things. So that's what we're doing today. Everything we're sharing with you is educator created. It is free and it was created with English learners in mind. Everything that we share with you today is listed in a document that you'll find in your control panel, which will be on the right-hand side of your screen. And the names of the resources will be there along with hyperlinks or additional attachments. Some of the documents aren't available through link, and so if that's the case, we've just attached them there in the control panel. So if you see something you like and you're like, I must have it, where do I get it? Check that document in the control panel. We'll also make sure to send those out to you along with a recording of the webinar after we're done today. So our resources are divided into 5 categories. We have a fantastic all-purpose resource. We're going to get into some no tech as well, because we know that is a really big deal right now. And we also have some good things for newcomers, differentiation when we're talking about content areas, and of course a coronavirus resource, because that's what's on everybody's mind right now is the virus. We are going to begin with our all-purpose resource. This resource was created by educators at Education Service Center Region 11 in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the landscape of education in Texas, like most states, Texas is divided up into, or like a lot of states, I should say, Texas is divided into different regions, and each region will have their own service center to assist all the districts within their boundaries with technical assistance, compliance, curriculum and instruction issues. So Region 11 is the service center for the Fort Worth area. It's very large. It has both urban and rural school districts. And what the staff at Region 11 did was they created a dashboard, so to speak, of all kinds of different resources for districts and teachers to access in their region. Now, this is accessible by anybody. The resources are not necessarily Texas specific, so if you're not in Texas, you still can definitely check this out. You're going to find lots of excellent information. What we have here for you today is a special guest from Region 11. Melanie Yocum is here, and she is going to walk us through this Learning at 11 resource. She works with the bilingual and ESL program support team at Region 11. And thank you so much for being here. We're so excited that you're going to walk us through this resource.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's so encouraging to see so many people on here today and eager to learn about resources that can support your English learners wherever you're joining us from. So thank you, Liz. Again, my name is Melanie Yocum, and I am currently serving as the resource for about 100 school districts in our area, and I'm in North Texas, so near Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the resources that I'm going to show you today were really created out of my passion for supporting English learners. We have about 98,000 in our region. And when this site came about, the consultants all came together and started designing things for all the contents, but then there was nothing for our English learners. And so I couldn't have that, and so decided that I would start creating pre-K-12 resources. So I'm going to walk you through our site, and as Liz mentioned, everything is free. You can download it and continue to check back, because I'm still in the process of designing more resources to share out with you guys. So this is our site, Region 11. You can just Google it, and it'll pop up, and you'll see the Learning at 11. When you click into Learning at 11, it will take you into the site where you can find resources at the bottom. So you can see we have pre-K 5 modules, 6 through 8 modules, 9, 12. We also have bite-sized PD. Most of it is free, so be checking on that and see if there are some additional PD opportunities you would like to join. Additional resources and specialized support. If you do go into specialized support, you will find the bilingual ESL page where you can find my contact information, my Twitter handle, my email, as well as other resources that are compiled there. But in particular, I want to show you 6 through 8 and where you can find the EL resources. You can find it in pre-K 5, 6, 8, and 9, 12, but I'm going to go into 6, 8 to show you. So when you go into one of the modules, you're going to see an introduction. You will see the grade levels. When you go into those grade levels, if you're also looking for other content support, please go there. You can find that. But in particular, we have our English Learner module. And when going into that page, you will find the resources I have currently, which are Let's Practice English, one that is no technology needed, that is emphasizing reading, talking, and writing. And then as we move down, you can see a document on how to translate options. This, I keep coming across some additional options, so I'll probably be adding to this document, but you can see a guide on how to translate Google documents, how to change subtitles, our closed caption and YouTube videos into different languages. Also using the Google Photo app, Translate app, which the photo feature is really nice because you can hover it over documents. So if your school is providing paper packets, this is a nice option for your families because if they do have a digital device and they have that app, they could use the photo feature to translate the documents that you give them. Also, talking points, you may have seen this. It's a popular tool to use for schools to send messages in multiple languages. It is free. So if you're not familiar with that, I would encourage you to check that out because it is a great tool to send messages to your families in their home language. Scrolling down even further, I've taken the document that walks step by step on how to translate things, but this I've screen recorded myself, and that way that families that maybe they don't have the language, they can watch as I translate a document and follow that. So there's no speaking in these videos. It is just me walking through how to do something. So this one is how to translate documents in Google Translate. This one is how to turn on YouTube closed caption in different languages. And the video I'm using is just a video that I found, but I wanted to mimic and show how you could do that. And then the one at the bottom is how to translate using your phone camera. I'm using that Google Translate app. And then finally at the bottom is how to translate our Learning at 11 site. Now, you may want to watch this and screen record yourself navigating maybe the platform that your school district uses, or for example, in our area, a lot of our school districts use Canvas, and my next screen recording will actually be how to navigate Canvas and how to translate that where parents can understand how to navigate that site. So lots of different ways, and if you're interested in how to screen record and you're not sure, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. But I want to toggle back up to the top to our Let's Practice English. So this document is downloadable. And when we scroll down, you're going to see that this is the target audience is beginner ELs. I would say, you know, even some of our intermediate English learners would benefit. And the subject or the grade level that I chose is 6 through 12. I've given them an outline of maybe how their morning or an afternoon could look. That's a lot of the requests I've been getting from families is I don't know what kind of schedule to set up. And then some tips for students. Now this one says tips for students because of the grade levels being 6 through 12, but you'll notice in pre-K-2 and then 3 and 5, you'll notice it says tips for parents, and then maybe some grade level says tips for students and parents. So you can see just giving them, some ideas of making sure we take breaks. If you can't read or write in English, it's okay to write in your first language, how to use the Google Translate app, and then how to turn on, and also giving them a suggestion of turning on the subtitles. And as you scroll down, I've given them an example of a Monday, Friday, what it could look like. Yes, you will notice that it does repeat itself, but one of the most important things for our English learners is having a routine schedule every day and not making it complicated, where they're having to go to too many different platforms or places. And so this is repetitive, but it's also routine, and that gives comfort to not only our English learners, but to all students, it's particularly in this time where things are very uncommon for our situation. Then here lists some digital resources. You'll see books and glossaries in multiple languages. Most of you probably know Audible is free right now, but also AllPurpose is another great free resource that offers books in different languages. And you'll notice within each of the grade levels that I've provided these resources for, the resources match the audience. And so you'll see varying resources that are listed. And then educational videos. If you're not familiar with BrainPop, it is free right now, and probably one of my top picks as far as providing resources and learning for ELs. And then we have online games, reading and writing, content lessons, and even a glossary that has all the different content translated into multiple languages, and that's another favorite of mine. But as you scroll down, you're going to see the lessons, or I wouldn't say lessons, but maybe activities divided into receptive and productive language. So when we're looking at listening and reading practice, giving them options, giving them the resource, and then letting them know, you can find a quiet place, or your option is to watch a video. And then as we move past our listening and reading, we move into speaking and writing. And here also giving steps, but also giving options again. Talk or text someone about a book or video, record yourself, but then giving them some other guidance and what to include, what to write about. And then below that, the resources that can be utilized in order to accomplish that. And I would encourage you, if you are offering resources, digital resources to your families, to make sure that you do add disclaimers, because we want to protect ourselves too, because we know that sometimes we may share things and inadvertently something negative happens. But finally, we have vocabulary activities and language games. These can be done without digital resources, so board games, labeling the house, vocabulary A to Z and such. And then finally, some of our online games. And then even some translation resources and extra activities to learn English. You'll notice in the pre-K 5 that I've provided resources at the bottom for parents to learn English, and so that's another option as well. So one more resource I want to show you before our time ends is No Technology Needed. And this one is focused on reading, talking, and writing. And here, this covers pre-K-12. And you can see it again, it gives options to kids. Read alone, read to a family member, read to a stuffed animal, and then based on that age, giving them different guidance. Also letting them know it's okay if you can't read in English yet, read in your native language or watch educational TV. And then finally at the bottom, giving them some activities and suggestions of things that they can do that no technology is needed. I'll tell you, this document has been translated into Spanish. I just haven't had an opportunity to upload that, so that will be coming soon too. But this is what we have now, and more will be coming as I have that time to do that and offer more activities for our students and our districts. And some other things to be thinking about is many of you may not have, your students may not have the opportunity to do digital. And so these are some options of printing things out. These could be printed and shared with families as well. If you have ideas that you think would be great to add, feel free to email me, and I'm happy to add those to what we have. But yeah, that's what we have here in Texas, or here in North Texas. And I would just say to all of you that have joined us today, again, it's extremely encouraging that you care about your English learners, but something to think about during this time is relationships are the key piece, and that you are getting so much thrown at you. And I see on social media daily, I'm being inundated with great resources, but it can become very overwhelming. The key piece right now is the relationships. And if that means just picking up the phone and calling your students or reaching out to them in any way, that is more meaningful than any of this. And that's what will be remembered when all of this is over. It will not be about what I've shared with you or what you're finding out on social media. It is about the relationship piece. And so continue doing the great things that you're doing. And as a fellow ESL person, this is year 23 of supporting English learners here in Texas, and I'm just very passionate about it. And I hope that you continue the good work that you're doing. And Liz, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here, and I hope to hear from some of you out there.
Thank you so much, Melanie. This was great. Thank you for sharing such a fantastic resource. I know everybody out there appreciates it and is really looking forward to getting in there and seeing a little bit more and playing around with it. So thank you.
Thank you. Good luck, guys.
Thanks. Okay. I love what Melanie said there about remembering that building that relationship is the most important thing right now. And yes, we are going to continue on and give you 4 more excellent resources, but when you do, when and if you do start to feel like overwhelmed, like there's just too much to consider here, if you can go back to that foundational message of what can I do to reach out and nurture that relationship I have with my students, even if it's just picking up the phone. That's really the basis for all learning is strong relationships. So thank you for that reminder, Melanie. Let's move on now to the No Tech resource that we're going to highlight today. This particular resource, you can also find this on Learning at 11. So if you are at the Region 11 website looking through their resources, you will stumble upon this because it's so wonderful. It has been included in the resource that Melanie just explained to us. Now, no tech is a huge concern right now because we know that not all of our students have digital access either at all, or if they do have it, it may be unreliable. They may have to be, they may rely on a parent's phone and the parent may be at work. So there's just a lot of variables out there. This resource, the ESL at Home resource, you may have seen this because it has been so well received on social media and it continues to grow. This was created by Maria Montroni out of New Jersey. And as the story goes, she created a few weeks worth of activities for her students. And I'm not sure if she put out the call or if just some magic happened, but at any rate, this document, which doesn't require any special resources and certainly doesn't require any technology, has been translated into multiple languages. So there are activities for grade bands in K through 8, and it keeps growing. She's adding more activities as we speak. Now, this document has inspired a second document called ESL at Home for High School, which was created by Cornelia Okraski in South Carolina. She was so inspired by what she saw Maria doing that she wanted to extend it for her high school students. And she did want me to mention that she was also very inspired by the English Learner Department at Fort Mill School District in South Carolina, especially Megan Love and Laura McCauley. So shout out to Megan and Laura for being such an inspiration and helping to get some of these really cool resources created. So let's take a look at this resource. So this can be found at Maria's blog, ESL at Home. And what you see when you follow the link in your resource document in the control panel is it's going to take you right to this page. And all of the different languages are going to be here on the right-hand side of the screen. And you can see weeks 5 through 8 have been added. Not all of the translations are ready though. And I just want to, for a second here, point out, look at all of the different languages that this has been translated into and all of the work that people have put in. Students have chipped in here, community volunteers, so it really is a great thing. And also down here at the bottom, if you know anybody who can translate into these languages, if you could go ahead and contact Maria, her email address is right down here. I'm going to challenge you. Let's see if we can get these documents translated into the languages that are still needed. So taking a look, we have the English document, weeks 1 through 4, listed here. We'll just take a quick look at it. It's just a PDF, looks like it's a PDF document. And you have first, it's organized by grade band. So you're going to have your K2 activities first, and then your 3, 5, and then your 6 through 8. And you can just see here that these are very simple activities that you can do around the house that don't require any sort of special tools. And as you increase the grade band, the level of complexity of the tasks will increase accordingly. So this is a really great resource to have. I know a lot of districts are using this. They're either printing it out and handing it out at food distribution points, or I've seen some districts are linking to it on a Padlet or some other resource to get it out digitally, but this one has definitely been very popular. Now let's take a look at the high school version that was created, which is also linked here on this page. So this is the ESL at home document. There are 2 weeks worth of activities now, and I believe it's English only at this point, but who knows, it may continue to grow. And you can see it's the same general idea of just simple no-tech activities that students can do at home. And all of this can be found at the ESL at home website, the blog that is linked in the resource document. A lot of questions that come up about when you're doing these no-tech activities is, how do I ensure that my students are doing this work, or how do I know that they're continuing to learn? And I think the takeaway here is parent communication, maybe using one of those resources that Melanie referenced when she was speaking earlier. I know the Talking Points app is hugely popular right now because of the translation feature, and a lot of teachers are finding it really useful to just be able to check in with parents and say, hey, have you done any of these activities? How's it going? Remember, nurturing the relationship should be priority number 1, so that when we are all back in a physical building together, that relationship is there, it exists, it's strong, and then we can just proceed with closing any gaps as best as we can. So that's our no-tech resource. Let's move on quickly and talk about a good coronavirus resource. Now, I know a lot of you really want to give your students information and reassure them. This is sort of a weird time we're living in. And so I was able to find a great resource about coronavirus that was created with English learners in mind. Now, this was created by a middle school teacher in Kentucky. Her name is Alonia Green, and she has a YouTube channel and a Teachers Pay Teachers page where these are available. So let's take a look first at her YouTube channel. Here's the YouTube channel, and you can see she has 2 coronavirus resources here. The first one is the video that I'm going to open up. And this is just a great little video introducing some vocabulary around coronavirus. I have it muted so we don't have any feedback as I play it, but rest assured she's using lots of visuals here. She's speaking slowly and clearly. She's indicating where students could pause the video to answer questions. She provides some sentence starters in here to get the students started on how to answer the questions. And it is enabled for subtitles. So you can turn on the subtitles, and you can, of course, change the language here using the auto translate feature. I'm going to change this into Arabic just to show you. So this is available on YouTube. It is free. And she also has let's go back to her channel. She has an explanation here of a vocabulary resource that she created as an extension to this video. And what she's explaining here is how she's using basic PowerPoint features, nothing fancy here, to create a vocabulary activity. You can see she's got a graphic organizer here. What she's done is she has pulled visuals from the coronavirus lesson video that we just looked at, and then she put them in a separate document to give the students more vocabulary practice. And the purpose of this video really is to show the how a basic PowerPoint slide can be used for a fun interactive activity. And she also has this PDF document, which in a normal circumstance might be a worksheet for students to fill out, but worksheets probably aren't going to help us if our kids are learning online. So she talks a lot about how she's created the PDF and made it fillable so that students can go ahead and type in it. It turns into a little bit more of an interactive exercise. So this is linked here in her video descriptions, her Teachers Pay Teacher page, where you can find these resources for free. And also, if you are interested in just learning how to take PDF documents and make them more interactive and fillable to send to students, there are other YouTube tutorials on that as well. It's not necessarily coronavirus related, but it's just a good tool to have in your back pocket. Okay, moving on now, let's go ahead and talk about a good differentiated resource. Now this one, it's really great for all EL teachers, but I selected this one because I think it's really great for my content teachers or for anybody who's maybe like a push-in or a support teacher for ESL. This was created by Heather Meese and her partners at Smart ELD, and they are all teachers, and they also have this consulting company where they work with districts and teachers on best practices around English learning. So they created this document. They're very active on social media. You can see all of their social handles and information right there. So definitely check them out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the choice board that they've created. So this is the choice board. It's differentiated by language proficiency level, which I love. So this means if you are a content area teacher or you're a push-in teacher, then you have a few different ideas for how you can use this choice board for your students of different language proficiency levels. The other thing I like about this is that it gives you the option of integrating a lot of tools out there that are very popular, such as Flipgrid or Edpuzzle or Storyboard that. So if you're already using some of those tools, then this choice board, all you have to do is drop in the videos or the content-based articles that you want your students to read. You're going to see some blue hyperlinked sentences here. And what these are, if the activity, such as draw and label a picture or to annotate a text, she provides some additional support documents here so the students know what to do, gives it a step-by-step breakdown and the space to sketch, in this case, what a student has seen in the video, jot down some unfamiliar words, and then give a summary statement. So there's lots of great little tools in here, and this is also a nice little template for you, a nice blueprint, so you can get an idea of the structure, and then you can plug in some activities potentially that work for your students. Heather and her partners have a website, Smart ELD, and you can find this document under resources. It's the first one listed right here, but you can see they have a lot of other cool things that you might want to check out as you're looking for resources for your students. And now let's move on to our newcomers. I know a lot of us have newcomers. Newcomers come at any time of the year. I bet there are a lot of you watching who maybe had a newcomer come in the day before all of this shutdown craziness happened, and you're probably thinking, you know, what are those students up to? What's going on? So this is a fantastic resource. by Pamela Broussard. She's a high school ESL teacher in Texas. She also runs the Leading ELLs Facebook group. If you are not a part of that group, I highly recommend that you check it out. Such good energy, great ideas, and great support among teachers of English learners. Now, Pamela teaches secondary English learners. So this resource was created for her secondary students. There are a lot of bits and pieces in there that I think would be good for elementary as well. This resource, it is linked in the Leading ELLs Facebook group. So if you are a member of that group, you can find it right there. If you are not a member of the group, it is attached in your control panel, and we will be able to send it out to you as well after the webinar. So let's have a look. What is it? It looks like this. They are ready to go video lessons. And what Pamela has done here, she gives you the introductory paragraphs. Obviously, I'm not going to read them to you, but the gist is she gathered a bunch of links to videos, mostly YouTube videos, that are appropriate for absolute beginners and also older beginners. And this was just a way for her students to be able to review some English basics, either at home or in school at a center or however. So she actually compiled this document before all of this craziness went down and we were all stuck at home, and used it in her classroom. But fortunately, it lends itself quite nicely to at-home learning. So she gives you some instructions on how you can use it both in your classroom when life resumes as normal. Also, you can upload it to Google Classroom. You could potentially also print it and hand it out as well. And I also love that you could use it as a choice board as well. She has 8 different weeks worth of activities here, and she starts with the basics of sounds and letters and sight words, and then it progresses into days of the week, clothing, weather, so a lot of basic vocabulary. And when you click on the link and open it, what you are going to find is a picture. It kind of looks like a choice board in a sense. So you have all of the different videos with the YouTube links and the QR codes. Now, the QR codes are really important here, and that's because a lot of our students may not have a desktop or a laptop at home, but a lot of them either have a smartphone or know someone with a smartphone, and having the QR code makes it really convenient to just kind of scan and get to one of these videos for listening and speaking support. Let's take a look at one of the videos that are linked here. I have it pulled up here. So this is one of the videos that she has linked for her students in the very first cluster of activities, which is just basic sounds and spelling. You can see this one is adult phonics. So this one I'm sure she picked because her students are older, but you can see from the picture here that some of these would probably be good for younger students as well. So this video is you'll be able to tell that this gentleman is speaking very clearly. He's enunciating. Oh, we have an ad here, so let's get rid of that in a second. So you can see that he's speaking very slowly. He is gesturing, and of course, the subtitles are enabled here as well. So if that is helpful, most of these have the closed captioning and the subtitles enabled, so you can change the language if you think that's helpful. Let's skip ahead here. So he's going through basic letters and sounds in this video. And finally, let's go back and talk about our last lesson. Plug in my laptop so I don't shut down on you guys and lose you. Okay, so our final resource is not really a resource at all. It's more of an idea. And I saw this actually in Pamela Broussard's Leading ELLs group. And I thought, what a great idea. And I thought I would share it. So Heather Miller, who's an elementary teacher in Arkansas, she teaches, I believe, K2 English learners. Or at any rate, she decided that for her younger English learners, she wanted to create how-to videos. And in her case, she created a how-to video for how to tie your shoe and how to plant a garden. And the idea around this was she could introduce some basic vocabulary. She could show how you would do an everyday task and make a fun video for both learning the language and learning how to do something. And what I really like about this idea is if you plan it out and you script it carefully enough and then record it and put it into a platform like YouTube or something like that, you could potentially take advantage of those translation features that are in there for the subtitles. But this is also a nice way to integrate a lot of non-academic learning. You know, we're all at home, and even our older kids, that they probably have things that they need to do around the house, take out the trash and cook meals and that sort of thing. So if you were to think about doing a how-to video to teach some basic vocabulary and some basic tasks to do around the house, that just might be a fun idea to consider. And also your older students, if they have the technology and the capability, they may want to do a how-to video themselves and send it to you, and that could be an activity that you map out and script out and work on together if the capability is there. So I just really liked that idea. I thought it was very promising, and I wanted to share it and kind of get your thoughts on that. I wonder if anybody's ever done that actually. So if you've done something like that, let us know. I'm interested to hear how that worked out. When you registered for this webinar, we asked you, what are your favorite resources? What are you using? And we got a ton of great answers. A lot of you are taking advantage of a lot of different resources out there, everything from just the plethora of webinars that are out there to kind of talk about all these current events and the transition to online learning, to YouTube and free audiobooks and Edpuzzles. And I think my favorite answer was somebody who said, yeah, I just FaceTime and Google Duo are my best friends. For those of you who don't know, Google Duo is FaceTime for Android. Not a lot of people know that. So this person just has his or her little setup to make sure that they can contact students and parents every day and just keep that dialogue going. So thank you for your contributions and answering those questions. And I definitely recommend that you see about joining one of these Facebook groups or other groups and connecting with your fellow educators and seeing what it is they're doing. It's always helpful to know what your peers are doing. If you are looking for Saddleback materials digitally, these are our digital partners. A lot of you work in districts that may already have relationships with these companies. So if you see a familiar name, you may want to ask an administrator or somebody on your team how you can log in and take advantage of getting some of our titles digitally. All of these companies have their own terms and conditions in terms of what they're offering, but definitely take a look. I know a lot of you really want some Hi-LowBooks digitally, so these are the places you would go to find those. This list is also attached in your control panel. I have a very, very exciting announcement. A lot of you who are joining us today may be thinking, hey, I love these resources, these are great, but I'm still struggling with how do I do this? Like, how do I teach reading to my students from a distance? So I'm so excited to be able to tell you we are partnering with nationally recognized teacher Emily Francis. We're going to bring you a webinar next week where Emily is going to join us, and she's going to model how she teaches distance reading lessons with her English learners. So we encourage you to please register for this webinar. It's going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, noon Pacific. You will get an email prompting you to register for this, hopefully. But if not, you can go to our website, sdlback.com, and click on webinars, and it's going to take you right to the information where you'll be able to register. Please join us so you can see Emily Francis modeling what she would do with her students. It's always a great way to get the wheels turning and thinking about things you can do with your students when you see what other teachers are doing with their students. So this is going to be a great opportunity. And finally, I told you we were going to keep it brief today. That's it for us in terms of content, but I am happy to take any questions that have come in.
Okay, sorry about that, Liz.
Okay.
I have questions here. Oh, technology.
Yeah.
Okay, so our first question today, How have people confronted the technology divide among students?
Yeah, the technology divide is huge right now. And that's probably the most common concern that I think we're all seeing right now is, what about my kids who don't have technology? How can we be equitable? How can we ensure that everybody's getting what they need? And there have been a lot of solutions. Like, I don't know what the one solution is, but I can tell you what other districts and other people are doing, and things that we've heard from our end. Probably most common, and you may be doing this in your district too, is some districts are distributing Chromebooks, hotspots, trying to get everybody connected that way. And some districts are taking the opposite approach, which is, we can't necessarily expect everybody to be digitally connected. Even if we give them devices, that doesn't, wave a magic wand and make them automatically proficient with them, right? There's still a learning curve there. So we have other districts who are taking another approach, which is, let's just get books into kids' hands, and good old-fashioned paperback books that they're purchasing and distributing to students at food distribution points, and then having some little activities to go along with that, and then teachers following up and checking in either through Talking Points app or phone calls or something like that. I would say, I wonder if there's some research behind this, but by and large, it seems like people prefer having an actual book in their hands, and it's really kind of comforting at times of uncertainty to be able to hold on to a book and just do some reading. So believe it or not, we've had some districts take the other approach, which is, let's just get some books into kids' hands and some activities and things that they can do, rather than inundate everybody with Chromebooks and hotspots. So there's definitely been a wide range of responses to that. I think, again, the only thing that we have to focus on the things that we control, which is, how do I sustain and maintain my relationships with students and families through all this? And then we do the best we can in terms of providing engaging content and instruction. But beyond that, there's so many variables at this point in time. Just making sure that the connection is there with the families is probably the highest priority that most districts are taking right now. What else we got, Amber?
Next question. I worry that there's a real difference between assigning work and instructing students to hone their skills. How best to instruct?
Yeah, that's a huge question, and it's a great point. A lot of us now are going into week 1, week 2 of online instruction, and some people are going to start next week. And what we're finding is, it's nice to be able to connect with our students in this way and to try to give them something to do, but assigning them something to do is not necessarily providing instruction. So how do we best continue their education given the circumstances? And again, there's been a variety of different approaches to this. We know that some states are saying we're not instructing any new content. We're just reviewing what has been taught. That's pretty common because there's access issues, and also there are some questions about quality of instructional delivery using remote learning tools. So again, this just comes back to our own locus of control and what we can do, and making sure that we are sustaining those relationships should be top of mind. And then beyond that, trying to make sure that our students have something beneficial to do that's going to hopefully be fun and extend their thinking and kind of keep them engaged until we can get back to some semblance of normalcy. I mean, I wish I had a better answer to that, but that's the best I can do at this point, I think. Hope you guys aren't disappointed.
Well, by all the comments we're getting, I don't think anyone's disappointed.
Oh,
I think we have time for one more question.
Okay.
What is the best way to do balanced literacy with older secondary students?
Okay, balanced literacy with older secondary students. We have a lot of talk in the EL community about making sure that our secondary ESL teachers, and especially our teachers of newcomers, have a firm grounding in language acquisition and also balanced literacy. And so if you're already asking the question, how do I do this? Well, you're on the right track because you know that you need to learn it. So that's great. In terms of like how to, I think the best person to ask that question to would probably be another teacher such as Emily Francis. And I think for the person who's asking that question or anybody else who's interested in that, my best suggestion for you would be to sign up for next week's webinar where you're actually going to see a reading lesson in action for secondary English learners that you can, kind of get a picture of and a visual on, and then you can ask some questions of Emily about how she differentiates and maybe get some good ideas for what to do in your own class. So join us next week. Any more,
Absolutely.
Amber?
That was it for the questions today.
Oh, okay, great. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget your resources and links to these resources, and also social media handles for the creators of these resources. They're all in that document that's attached in your control panel. So that's where you're going to want to go for those. Amber, any other closing thoughts?
I think we have one more slide that has our contact information on it.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Yes, this is our contact information. Definitely, we love to hear from you guys on social media. So if you can find us on Twitter at SDLback, that is, it makes my heart sing to see people on Twitter talking about us in our webinars. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and you can reach us by phone as well if you have questions. We are working. We're not in the office, but we are working. So if you want to reach out to us via email, contact@sdlback.com, or by phone, we're definitely here to answer your questions and get you what you need. So thank you so much, everybody. And just once again, thank you for taking the time to join us. And thank you for all the great work that you do. And remember to take a lot of deep breaths and also take care of yourself. This is a very stressful time. So don't forget about your own health too.
Absolutely. And we will see you all next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good one.
Bye.